Hi and welcome to Greedy 3D. Well, if like me you're running your prints on an Ender 3 or an Ender 5 with a relatively small build plate and you want to make something a bit bigger, can you do it? Well, today we're going to be making this on an Ender 5. I'll show you how to do it on today's Greedy 3D. Well, no one's going to forget the iconic scene from Endgame here where Captain America's unbreakable vibranium shield was smashed to bits by Thanos. We're going to make that shield, we're going to make it broken, we're going to make it look like Thanos and his army have been attacking it and battering the Cap. But how do we do that on the Ender 3? So this is how we're going to shrink the shield down and get it to fit on that 220 by 220 build plate. Stay tuned. So we've gone on to Thingiverse and we've found the file that we're going to be making today, which is the Captain America Broken Shield Endgame. And there it is. It looks a bit like that. So we're going to go ahead and download this file. It's just one single file, so we'll do that now, and that's already downloaded on my computer. So the first thing we're going to do is open the file that we've downloaded, and this will be called Broken Shield. And the first thing you notice is it's tiny. There it is. It's sat there on the build plate, but it's tiny. Now we need to make this a little bit bigger, and we need to make it screen size. So you need to click on it, go to scale, and the scale to make it actual life size is 4400. And there you go. That is the actual screen size shield now that's sat there on your build plate. And there's a couple of things we need to do with this. So let's go to move it, just take it up and rotate it around so it's relatively flat. And there is a reason for that, which will become apparent when you start to cut it up. So once you've rotated it into a position that's relatively flat, which is about there, we're going to go to File, we're going to go to Export, we're going to make sure it's saved as an STL file, and we're going to call it Captain America Broken Shield Resized, and save that to your desktop. So we've opened up Slicer, and I'm going to open the file that we have created, and on my system it's called Broken Shield Large. Now the first thing that you notice when we open this is that if you look at the build plate size at the bottom here for the Ender 3, Ender 5, and they are 220 by 220, you can see clearly that this shield is never in a month of Sundays going to fit on there for a single print. So what can we do to get this to print? Well, we need to cut it and split it, and this is how you do it. So click on the shield, select the cut option, opens up another box. Now in here you'll see there are three axes. There's the Z axis, which is top to bottom. There is the Y axis, which will be from back to front, and there is the X axis, which will be from side to side. So we're going to choose the Y axis to start with. We're going to click the little box there that says keep the upper and lower halves, and we are going to change this figure here to the size of the Ender 3. Now we could change it to 220, but I want to give it a little bit more leeway, a little bit more space, so we're going to change it to 210, and we're going to tell it to perform the cut. Now what you'll see there then is you've got two pieces of the shield. So what we're going to do next is take the largest piece and we are going to delete it. That leaves us with this piece here. Select that piece, choose cut, change the angle, the axis rather, to an X axis, click the little box to keep both sides, change the size to 210 and perform the cut. Now what you'll see now is we've got two pieces here. Now we know without shadow of doubt that this piece here will fit, so we're going to get rid of this piece, and we know that this piece is our first piece that we're going to print, so we're going to export the STL, we're going to call it number 1, and we're going to save it. So we've now saved that piece. So now we're going to use the keyboard shortcut Control and Z to go back. We're going to select the piece we know we've just saved and delete it. That leaves us with this piece. So then we go to cut, choose the X axis, we tell it we want to cut it, or we want to tick that little box to keep both sides. We want to cut it into 210, and we perform the cut, and there we have our second set of cuts. The little piece and the large piece will cut together happily, and you just need to move them around on your build plate. So we would then export STL, we would save that as number 2 and save. Okay, then we're going to go back and use that shortcut on the keyboard, Control and Z. So go back again, go back again, go back again. So we now know that we've cut this section here, so we can delete this section, and then the process starts again. Select that large section, cut it. We're going to keep the top and bottom halves. We're going to change that to the size of the build plate, 210. We're going to tell it to perform the cut, and voila, we've got 2 pieces. So we're going to get rid of the central piece there, delete. Is this starting to make sense now? Select that piece, and away we go again. So you'd use that process until you've chopped up and saved all the pieces, going backwards, going forwards. The only thing with this way of doing it is you really need to keep a track of what you've done and what you haven't done, but that's not too hard if you just take your time. And by doing this, you can split the shield into around about 12 pieces that will all fit quite happily onto the end of 3, end of 5 build plate, and you can then send them through to your curer or whichever slicer you use and print them. The other thing this does, which is a great little addition, is the bottom sections it actually fills. So when you come to glue them together, you've got flat edges to glue them together. And that's how you cut the broken Captain America Endgame Shield to fit on an Ender. And you can use this technique for anything that won't fit on your Ender 3 or 5. So you've cut the parts using slicer. You've now ended up with around about 12 different sections of that shield, and you're ready to upload them into your slicing program, and I use Cura for that. Now I've just been using a standard setting in Cura. The way I look at it is this, that the shield itself is going to be absolutely battered. You're going to do loads of aging effects on it, so there's no point having an absolute crisp, pristine shield to start with, and it will save you some filament as well. So I've used standard settings, I haven't used any supports, and I've just ran the 12 pieces individually on my printer, and the next bit I'm going to show you is it all assembled. Now how did I assemble it? Well, I used some glue, just some Gorilla Glue to stick it all together, and I've used some wood filler and some expanding foam just to fill the gaps. So let's have a look at it all printed. I'm not going to show you all the printing process. We've printed all the parts, we've put it together. This is what it looks like once it's put together. Well, there we have the finally assembled broken Endgame Captain America Shield. It's in its warts and all state at the moment, and a couple of problems putting it together. We had, and I think it's because I did it across 2 printers, but I had a little bit of difference. So there was a couple of gaps, a couple of bits that didn't quite fit as I would like them to. But you know what? Bit of filler, bit of expanding foam in the biggest gap, and I will be sanding that down to within an inch of its life before it gets a coat of paint. I'll probably be sanding it down a fair few times before it gets a coat of paint. But I mean, as you can see, it's a monster, it's a beast. I mean, if I just give you an idea of scale, there's my hand by it. It's huge, and that's the model, that's the actual movie scale. Oh, it's lovely. So the next time you see it, I'm going to have it completely sanded, and we'll have it primed, and we will have it base coated. And what the plan is, a base coat of silver, then I'm going to do some masking and some painting. So let's see how this one comes out. And where's my space on the wall? Oh, there it is there. It's going up that spot there. So next time you see this beast, it'll be a little bit close to finished. So the shield has been sanded down, and I've started the priming process. So you can still see some of the lines in it, and to be fair, you can get rid of those with a little bit more work. If you want to sand it down, prime it, sand it down, prime it. I'm not too fussed about these lines on this shield, because don't forget, this has gone through a battle with Thanos and the whole of his pigging army. So I'm not too bothered with some marks on it, and I'll be able to add a few details at the end with some silver to make it look like it's
got a few scuffs on it in places, so some of the imperfections I'll just exaggerate them so they look like part of the model. And that's it really. Let this coat dry and then I'll give it another coat. Sanding took me about half an hour. I gave it another few layers of filler and then sanded it again, just using the Black & Decker mouse that I always use. So let's let this dry, give it a few more coats, then we'll give it a base coat of silver and see what it looks like. First layer of silver on. There we go. Looking good. Looking like it's made out of vibranium. Next step really is to let the silver dry and mask it up and then apply the other colours.
So the silver has dried now, and I'm just going to show you what we used. That's what I've been using. So it's the Rust-Oleum, and it's the chrome finish. That's a great metallic paint which will give it a steel look. So I've let that now set on there, and I'm going to use two colours now. I'm going to use the metallic red, which I've just picked up from Amazon, and the metallic blue, which again I just picked up from Amazon. And what I did was I just masked the shield off using some masking tape. I did the red first, so just masked the areas off that I didn't want anything else to go on apart from the red, and I let the paint dry for about an hour and a half. And the reason I did that was when I pulled the masking tape off, I actually wanted some of the paint to come off, and you'll see the effect on the end result. So that adds to the battered effect on the shield. Let it dry a little more, remasked it up, painted the blue, and it's done. So let's have a look what it looks like fully painted and finished now. We have it, Captain America's Endgame Shield, all done. Hope you've enjoyed the making process. I'd be interested to see your comments. If you could like and subscribe, that would really help me out, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.